so grateful that our school board chose to allow our district to invest in a formal method for energy conservation. And we have only been involved with the company Cenergistic for 5 months. And the two folks that that have been hired to help us full-time monitor our energy use are one is someone almost all of San Angelo will remember, Stephen Hoozer, who has worked in our district as administrator at nearly every level, and then we were blessed to hire a newly retired colonel from the Air Force, Lisa Dahl, who I still call her Colonel, who was over so many logistical parts of Goodfellow and other bases through her career. I thank you so much because we already see savings, which is far more than just dollar savings, which it means we're being good stewards to our taxpayers. But it's the right thing to do, to be conservative. And how you've gone about it by not being legalistic and dogmatic, but kindly showing us ways we can that we probably don't think about, saving and cutting back on usage of all kinds of utilities. So 5 months, and mostly when the buildings across our district are not occupied, you are going in, finding things turned on that could be turned off, monitoring ways that we can be more conservative. And we've already seen large savings and hope to see more. Why on earth would you two want to be the energy watchers? Steve.
Well, for me, it came at a good time. We were ending the bond. It was a time for me chance for me to retire, but not quit working. Since I was involved in it from the beginning, when they started coming to the district and talking to us, I realized it was a very good company, and that we had a lot of room to save money and to save energy. And I think, like you said, it's not just the money, it's good stewards of our resources for our children, grandchildren, their children, because there's limited supplies of some of this, and whatever we can do to save the energy is good. And it also kept me working in the school district. And as I've told everybody, we have a great school district, and I enjoy working with the people, and it allows me to continue to do that, just in a little different role.
Okay, Colonel.
Well, as you know, I thought it was really great to be able to stay here. And so, everything that Steve said too, but this is just such a phenomenal community. And I thought that before coming in, and that's just been even more clear after the just 3 months, I guess, that I've been doing this. So just a great opportunity.
One of the reasons, and you're both so humble that you're not going to accept this quietly, what I'm fixing to say, but the board and I know you were the perfect ones because you're not unreasonable and domineering. You explain to folks why unplugging certain energy pieces of equipment when they're not being used is helpful. And quite honestly, I have learned so much through this process. I've always been very aware to turn out lights, that even some people don't do it quite as faithfully as my husband and I. But I've learned which some things that I had no idea that if they're turned off, they're still drawing energy. And you know, you all have seen, Steve already knew, and you are learning, Lisa, that our staff overwhelmingly wants to participate, and the way you've gone about it has helped them learn, and they're transferring over a lot to their homes. They've learned things, but then how you've gone about it, being so kind, has made people all the more want to just take a few more seconds to turn off and unplug and turn down. And no, our goal all along in this company has been that we are not going below the quick. We're not wanting to make people freeze to death or burn up. And so that's going to take a little time, because just like the people in my office, we all have different body temperatures. I'm cold all the time. So your kindness, and one of the ways I saw repeatedly at Thanksgiving holidays, Christmas holidays, you all wanted to implement what's called almost a shutdown of the things that could be turned off, unplugged, without risking danger, like not moving a heavy bookcase, stuff like that, but doing what we can do. And you gave incentives which were nothing more than little colored pieces of paper thanking people for the effort that they showed, and people loved that and they did better the second time at Christmas because you showed gratitude. Tell me some things you've learned already that people can do better, we can do better, improve.
One of the things, and there's a fantastic IT department, as you noted. We just sort of talked about that in the previous meeting. We tried to get some information. They've already been doing a fantastic job of shutting everything down, or putting everything to sleep mode.
And IT is our technology.
Sorry, yeah,
no,
the
that's
technology
okay.
department. And they've even come up with interesting ways that we wouldn't have even thought of. Hey, we can shorten it to this. We can put the copiers in energy save mode after just 5 minutes, as opposed to maybe it was set for 4 hours before. So some of that was their initiative. But some of the stuff that I've learned, and I know Steve can tell you this too, your computer labs are usually 10 degrees hotter because they're all on, even in sleep mode.
Wow.
Right, so that may make the air conditioning come on to cool the room, those kind of things. But what it also does is, if you look at how many computers and monitors you have across the district, which is around 9,500, if you turn them off just for 12 hours a day, and in general it would be more than that, for the 180 school days out of the year, I think we figured out you could save more than $25,000, or avoid paying that much. I was shocked at that number myself.
Wow.
So that's probably one of the, because I always at home flip it down, control delete. Well, I didn't really do that either. So it's even changing my own behavior after learning some of this stuff. And so the key component is working with every aspect of this team, whether it's it's the custodians or the kitchen staff or the administrators or whoever it be. It's the education part of it.
Without a doubt, because
we're learning.
I'm being educated, and I'm grateful because I can take it and apply it at home. So, Steve, what about you?
Well, as Lisa said, the thing about the computers is very interesting, and that the $25,000 is just the computer. If you turn off the monitor, you don't quite double that. But we think the district could save around $45,000-$50,000 just by turning computers off at night, as opposed to putting them in sleep mode. We're not talking about unplugging and all that stuff, just hitting shutdown and mashing the button on the monitor. And when people think about that at home, that's a few pennies. That's not any big deal. But when you have 9,500, it becomes a big deal. But then, a lot of the training that Cenergistic puts us through, and the people that come in have shown us a lot of ways, just by looking at the way we operate our boilers and our chillers, and by, in the coldest part of the winter, you need them, the water needs to be hotter. And the milder part, or in the summer, the water can be turned down 20 degrees and saving dollars a day. And so there's a lot of little things, and it's not just one big thing that if you do this, you'll save a whole lot of money. It's all the little things added together throughout a district with as many employees and as many rooms and lights and computers. And so you start taking little penny things and adding them together, and they soon become dollars and hundreds and thousands.
What about my printer? Do I shut it off?
During shutdown times, at first, when we had the Thanksgiving shutdown, technology department did not want those turned off if they were networked.
Okay.
If it's just a personal printer, yes, you turn it off.
Okay.
But then technology, as Lisa said, went above and beyond. They researched them, and they determined we can turn those off too. They don't have to be left on. They will pick up where they left off. They did the same thing with televisions. The older televisions, if you turned them off, you lost all your programming and you had to reprogram them when you plugged them back in. The newer flat screen TVs, technology did some research on them and unplug them.
Wow.
Because if they're plugged in, they're drawing electricity because they're constantly talking to the remote even when they're off. And so, there's things like that have come up. And like Lisa said, we have had great support from all of our staff. I mean, custodians, teachers, principals, maintenance department, technology, administration. And that's really an advantage that we have seen over some school districts that are fighting with everybody to get everything done.
All right, we've talked a little bit about electricity. What about ways to conserve with other utilities?
We are pretty conservative with water anyway because we have to be.
Yes.
We don't have water. So our water usage is not a huge area. One of the things we're looking at that can save the district money is we have quite a few water meters that have been used for irrigation in the past that we haven't used in 2-3 years. So just by simply talking to the water department and getting those disconnected, we can save, $20, $40, $60 a month off those that we're going to get. But the actual usage of the water, we're pretty conservative with that and have been in San Angelo for a long time.
And it is certainly helping that we've invested in more turf fields that now we're not having to water.
Significantly.
Yes.
And we saw that with the meters that used to run the irrigation on those practice fields that are no longer being used. I mean, we saw that when we started looking at data after the summer was over, that it was a significant difference, and that's what we had to go back and say, well, that's because we put in turf fields, and so that changed the whole way that meter was used.
All right, what about, is there any way to conserve natural gas, the gas?
Well, that's coming in the same way we're doing with electricity, with the using of the, because one of the first things we did is we went in and adjusted the time of day schedules for the schools. Instead of running from 5 o'clock in the morning until 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night when we didn't have students there, we've tightened that up significantly. And so that helps gas as much as it does electricity because
certainly.
The gas is running the heaters and the boilers. And that's another thing. When you change the temperature of a boiler, then the gas you don't need as much gas to heat it to 160 as you do to 180. And so those type things, a lot of the things we use for the heating and air conditioning, it will save electricity and gas.
You are going to start now after we have finished the 6th month, I believe, giving reports monthly to our principals so that they can share with their teachers how their efforts are reaping rewards. Because if people can be reminded and be shown gratitude for their minute or 2 minutes each evening before they leave, turning off or turning down, then it will be fresh on their mind until we change our behaviors. You know, we were in habits of just walking out the door and turning out the lights without thinking of other energy drawing equipment that we could impact. And then you will be a quarterly or so on our televised board meetings giving reports. I just want our audience to know that they can follow this process that we are now initiating in an excited way. And I want to go back just a little bit to let our audience know why this company came to us so highly recommended and why we chose them. The districts in our nation who had bought into this energy conservation method have proven track records. And you, Steve, this is before we hired Lisa, went and visited some of our sister cities to the north, big districts like ours, and got months and years worth of data. It's not just good stories, but data. And so we went into this knowing that this company has proven over and over that they do save if the staff is cooperative and participates. And so that is proving true for us. But once again, I cannot thank you two enough for the manner and interpersonal skills you are going about your job with. And if someone is not overly happy about unplugging something, then you've been kind. And so I greatly appreciate that. Is there anything else that you think would be of interest to our community and our taxpayers about this process?
We're going to try to put some more information out on the webpage, and there's two pieces to this. We'll continue with a main component of our job is to continue to educate folks, but we also want them to take it home and then share the same results, some of the same information with the city. Just any kind of person in the community that has access to the page. So GreenQuest, I believe, is one of the sites that allows you to do some of this stuff at your home, so you can track your own savings, and that's provided free. And if approved, it may go on the webpage. So that's one idea. The other idea is, we want to show some of the things that we're doing, maybe through a newsletter or tips, but we want to not just share it with teachers, because a lot of the same stuff does translate to your home. Talking about plug loads and things like that. I mean, we all have computers at home too, and if you're going to leave for the weekend and it's easy to unplug, maybe you should consider unplugging certain things in your home. So those kind of things. So I think the expanding out the education piece to via the web or via whatever method is possible, and then I think later on, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Maybe next year we want to look at trying to bring in some of the students to kind of help run some of the programs that we implement. We kind of train them like their junior energy manager or whatever it might be called. So that is kind of another tier of the education piece that would go out. And of course we want to teach them to have the same kind of good habits, and then what are they going to do? They're going to talk to their friends, and they're going to grow up this way, and they're going to have families. And so it's sort of that enduring energy conservation method that will hopefully just spread, and we'll see positive results.
We've seen through our young gifted students who've done many projects through our TRIS projects on water conservation, that they become extremely watchful of their family usage and wastefulness, leaving just shower water too long. And young children, we've seen it with fire prevention. And so that is exciting to me to bring, because children, if they can learn these habits young, we have a much better chance of our quality of life that we're so spoiled with in America being able to continue and us just not be wasteful, for goodness sakes. What else, Steve?
Well, you said being wasteful, and that's the whole basis behind Cenergistic's program. I mean, we don't want to do away with anything anyone needs to do their job every day. But when we're not educating kids, then there's a lot of opportunity to turn things off and turn things down. We use the cafeteria first thing in the morning, we use it for lunch, we use it sometime after school, but in between, there's really no reason for cooling and heating the cafeteria. And so, if we can save an hour here and an hour there, those hours over time add up. And so that's what we're trying to do. And like I said, it's education of the employees, it's education, hopefully at some point in time filters down to students. And I don't think it just helps the school district, I think it'll help the whole community.
Lisa, you just mentioned some things that I know you and your husband and family are trying to do at home. One of the things is unplugging a coffee pot. Mm-hmm. That's not hard to do, but it draws energy. What else is a tip for our audience or two?
Well, and then you'll see the trend that we're focusing on electricity because even in the district and probably at home, that's your largest utility bill. So we're going after that first. If you can't unplug things, there's little devices that you can spend between $5 and $10 that will turn them off inside your plug. Like if you can't reach it.
Oh, wow.
Just like we don't want people moving big bookshelves because that might be dangerous. But so if it's just not practical, then I've kind of learned that.
Timer.
Right, a timer, and this is essentially what this is. There's a couple of different devices out there that can kind of help you, and if you don't want to spend a lot of money, if you can easily unplug it, then of course that's probably the best thing. But just sort of auditing your own home. Do I use this every day? And if the answer is no, well, consider unplugging it if you think that you can do that. You can. One of the things that we've done is we've taken our own AC unit, our own home HVAC schedule, and I've actually lowered it 5 degrees when we're not there, when my daughter's at school. And it comes back on before she gets home, just like we have for the schools. We try to warm them up in the morning or cooling them shortly here. Because as Steve mentioned, and I just want to reiterate that, the goal is to not make people uncomfortable. We have 2 goals that are sort of both number one, is to make people comfortable and also conserve. And usually it's when it's unoccupied, so when no one's there, no one's using it. Now, sometimes a gym can be unoccupied for a couple hours in the middle of the day, or maybe an hour, and so that still would be unoccupied, and we'd like to reduce that footprint. But going back at home, so for those that are just thinking about this, there's a couple of different web resources that I've found. I'm happy to share those. I don't know if they'll go on the district site or not, because we'll just have to look at those, but newsletters, certainly that information's readily available out there, and it gives you ideas of what to look at. Putting things on a timer is probably the number one. You can control your own air conditioning or heating. That is usually your highest expense of that. So if you can set it back a couple more degrees than you normally do, and maybe just turn it on 15 minutes earlier, you'll probably see significant savings, even though you're turning it on earlier, but you're not making it work and making compressor cycle and all those different things, when you're gone. So we went from 60 to 55. My house never really got below 60 though, so changing the 5 degrees, it makes a little bit of a difference, but it's not significant. And then when we get into the cooling season, changing it up a little higher, I think we had it set at 80, and we'll probably change it to 85. Knowing that we'll get it from 85 to, let's say, 74, a comfortable level, in about 30 to 45 minutes. And sometimes that takes a little bit of testing. Mm-hmm. To figure
and
out
I want to
how
make
long.
sure you understand, audience, she's talking about her home. We're not turning up, making the classrooms 60 or 55 during the occupied times, or making it 80 or 85 during the occupied times. Just wanted to make sure.
Absolutely. Now that's a great point to make sure everybody knows. If there's a classroom that got it even close to that, then there's a problem, and we're going to look at it. We're going to work with our you have just a fantastic maintenance and operations staff, and they're really good at trying to go after those things that make classrooms unbearable. Because we did have some issues after we came back from the break, and they were on it trying to rectify that situation very quickly.
And we're learning.
We are.
We're learning how to do it without making people uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that when you talk about the 55 for nighttime setback or the 85, those are the things we use, the temperatures we use for setbacks for unoccupied times. And those are the same setbacks that the district has been using for the last 15 years. This isn't something that Cenergistic came in and said we're going to do.
Okay.
Now, we have worked to get them on night setback or morning setback, whatever you want, a little quicker than we have in the past. But when we go back and look at our buildings, except right after New Year's when we had that freezing time, the buildings aren't getting down into the 50s. And they're not getting up into the 80s, except on rare occasions and rare places. So, we are trying to make sure, even at night when custodians are working or maintenance people are in buildings, we're trying to make it where it's not unbearable. Occasionally it gets that way, and we will work on that. But we're trying to monitor that as well, not just when the kids are there.
Right. And those are honestly mostly due to mechanical issues. Sometimes stuff just breaks. So.
Yes. Well, thank you all. It's a privilege to work with you. You're both delightful, and you are working for our school district and then our community for us to be good stewards. Thank y'all so much, and we want you to come back after you've learned some more lessons.
Well,
And we
thank
look
you.
forward to lessons on our website and Facebook page. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.